Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Jennifer Eller, and with me today is my co-host, Mike Hill. Hello. And our producer, Nick Wilson. So earlier you didn't have a camera. Do you have a camera now, Nick?
Do.
You
Look
do.
at that.
Then
Yep.
wave,
So they can see him
wave to
and hear him.
everybody.
They can see
Wave.
and hear.
Perfect. Yay. And then our guest today is Rick Hall. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah. So you are a big sports fan, correct?
I like sports. Yeah.
Or
yeah,
moderate?
I'm a sports fan. Probably I guess it's not as important to me as what it used to be. But I love. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like being in the gym. And
So, like, what's your favorite sport and your favorite team?
I'd say basketball.
Are you a Purdue fan?
I'm not a Purdue fan.
Thank
I'm
Lord.
Well,
Are you
I'm
an IU
I'm
fan?
an IU fan, but it's tough.
It doesn't matter. So we're still stick with
I
it.
might flip the script, man. My daughter's going to Butler. I might become a
Oh.
Bulldog if things keep going the way they're. I mean, I'm not that.
It's
I've been
gonna go
I've
in
been
the
an IU
right
fan.
direction. Come
I've
on.
been an IU fan my whole life. It's tough right now. So,
Yeah.
but
Have you been down to Assembly?
I have actually. The first date that I took my wife on was to Assembly Hall, and
Oh, really?
It was an absolute disaster. Oh, it was.
The date or the game?
The date was
Really?
well, all of it was a disaster. That's a story in itself.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe we'll get to that.
Okay. all right,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you
funny
read
story.
books? Which last
I
book
don't.
you read?
I
You don't?
I
Okay.
don't, yeah.
So, are you a Netflix or Hulu watcher?
I guess Netflix a little bit. Tabby and I kind of have stuff we watch at night, but I don't. I mean, other than that,
You're
don't
not a
watch-
binge
don't-
watcher
I don't
of
watch a lot of
anything?
TV. I don't even watch a lot of sports anymore. You know, I don't watch a lot of TV.
Is that like a principal thing? Did you give up watching
No.
it because of you just don't have time?
No, it's
or-
just not as important as what it used to be. It used to like I would never. I'm a Bears fan too. I would
Yeah.
never miss a Bears game. I would
Yeah.
never miss a Hoosiers game, and I've just gotten to the point in my life where I still watch and I like to sit down and watch them, but I'm not gonna have it on my calendar and make sure that I'm there and it just
Yeah, it's not going to be like you go to work the next day mad because of the game that happened.
right. Yeah.
I can remember
Yeah.
those days.
Oh yeah. Oh for sure.
You never were that kind of fan, Jennifer?
Never.
Oh, Nick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like you're mad the whole next day when the Bears got beat or Indiana got beat, which
My-
meant you were mad a lot.
My dad was not into sports, so we never watched that in our house. And so I didn't grow up with that. I mean, Eric watched some, but I didn't care. I mean, I just didn't. It was never my world.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I remember one of my first memories was the '86 Super Bowl. I remember my dad jumping up and hitting his fist on the ceiling. And that's like I don't know why, but that's one of my first memories. And then I kind of remember the Keith Smart jumper from
Oh,
the
yeah.
baseline. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Back in the day. Now we have nothing to cheer about.
Yeah, I know it.
So, what do you love the most about your wife?
Oh, wow.
I
right off
know.
Was that like
Right
a
off the
snuck in
bat.
question?
No, I just thought
Right
I
off the
wouldn't
bat.
know.
Wow.
That's a new one. I know.
I thought
that's a
maybe
new one.
Gabby was like, hey, I got one. I want to hear what he says.
No, not at all.
I love how much she loves God. Like
Mm.
she is so faithful, and she is just, you know, and like meeting her, it really was a turning point in my life. And it's kind of like sometimes it's tough for me because we're supposed to be the leaders, right? Like like that's a big thing, and for me it can be difficult at times because she's awesome, you know, and it's good. It pushes me to be better as well. But yeah, she just, you know, she's into her Bible every morning, and just the way she lives her life. Yeah, and she's a great mom. So.
That's awesome.
Good answer. Everything about you, Tabby. Everything
That's
about
right.
you.
She's a good woman, man. Yeah,
Well, you
love her
had
to
said
death.
that, and we'll get to her in your
Yeah.
story, but I just was curious what. Yeah. So, and somehow Tabby's related to me. I don't really
She's
remember.
related to everybody.
Yeah. I
She's related to everybody, man.
think
Like,
her dad or her grandpa, cousins, my mom. I don't know, but
Because you guys are
there's
both
something-
from around here?
yeah, but we're not related.
She's related to everybody but you.
She seriously, everybody we run into, it's like she does that genealogy stuff, and she
Oh,
so she
wow.
knows who all she's related to.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. So let's kind of go to what your faith journey looked like growing up. You know, I know your grandpa had a big influence in your life, and then, you know, kind of what did home look like with faith. And so just kind of kind of tell us what that looked
Yeah,
like.
you know, as a kid, we didn't go to church much. You know, we were Easter and Christmas Eve maybe. And my mom I remember her, you know, trying to get us to go but I just don't remember going that much. As far as my dad, I don't remember him. I know if we went, it was usually with my mom. But yes, my grandpa, he was a preacher at two different churches, and my grandpa is just. And you mentioned, and you know, you're like, well, your grandpa is a preacher, and you guys didn't go to church, but yeah,
I was floored by
it's-
that. So is it your dad's mom or your mom's mom?
It's my mom's dad.
Okay, so
It
that's why
was my
she
grandpa.
kind of wanted to.
Yeah,
maybe go a little bit
yeah,
more,
but it
but-
was just never there
Yeah.
really growing up. Like I didn't really. I mean, I didn't have a home church until really Tabby and I met and we started going after we had Ella. We started going and so yeah, and that was I was 23 when we got married, so probably 24, 25 before I really started going to church. And so there's a lot of times like, and I know that's been 20 years ago now,
Right.
right? So I've learned a lot, but there's still times where you know, you'll be preaching or I'll be in life group and something will get brought up, a story from a lot, and they're like, well, we all know this story from when we were a kid. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, and I got to, you know,
Yeah, no,
but yeah, work in progress, man. It's learning every day and trying to be better every day.
So your grandpa was a pastor around here?
He was Pilcher's Chapel in Pleasant Grove, two little country churches south of town towards Marion in Huntington. But yeah, that man, he was a good man.
So did your mom and dad ever talk about like why they were turned off to faith? I mean, it just
Not-
again, not that it's a weird, but it is kind of like
And my
did
mom,
they just get
and my
burnt?
mom she goes to church to this day, but she was a single parent raising four of us.
Okay.
And that, you know, looking back, I mean, and we weren't great, you know, we weren't great to her. We're four kids that you know took advantage of her and and as far as, you know, just going out and doing things. And so, I mean, she goes to church and it just wasn't really something that was important
Yeah.
when we were kids, you know,
Right.
that you look back and you're like, man, you know.
Yeah, no, and I didn't. Again, I don't want to like put her down or put your family
No,
down
it's-
at all. It's just more of it's always interesting to me is like, was there a disconnect? Did they see something that kind of turned them off to, like I don't know if that's something I want to be a
No,
part of.
I think more than anything, it was just for her. It was a battle that she just probably didn't want. Like
Trying to get all the hooligans to
yeah.
church.
and that's where, you know, my dad, if he was the leader
Right.
of the household, and not to put my dad down, you know, but that's what we're supposed to be.
No,
the
for
lead-
sure.
And so yeah, you know, if he was there and the leader, then she wouldn't have had that battle on her own, you know, to try to get us to go. And so
Yeah. Is your dad still alive?
he's not. He passed
Okay.
6-7 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a guy. I don't hold on to dates, man. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like
don't.
sometimes I do that, and people are like, "You don't know exactly when." I mean, there's very few dates that I really like hold on to, but
Right.
yeah, I think it's been maybe 7 or 8 years ago he passed. So yeah, my she's remarried. She's been remarried, and yeah, and they've got a church home. So
Yeah. Good.
yeah, man. So, but my grandpa was that man was he just passed away a year and a half, 2 years ago maybe.
Oh, wow.
But he was the best man I ever knew. I mean that guy was he was awesome. He was just, and there's a lot of people. You know, a lot of people that are going to be watching this are probably going to be like, "Oh, I knew Buzz." You know, I mean, like everybody knew my grandpa. He touched
Buzz?
Buzz, yeah.
Okay.
Russell Buzzard was his name. Yeah, he touched a lot of
I
lives.
feel like I've heard that name before.
Yeah.
Was he like he wasn't a janitor or anything?
Yes,
was
he was at
at
Horseman,
Horseman. Yeah,
yeah.
I knew him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that's when I heard that name. So
So
yeah, no, everybody
yeah.
loved him. I remember.
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
When they
took-
can have that much impact on that many people.
Oh yeah, he took my grandma had Alzheimer's for I don't know 12 years maybe. He took care of her until a month before she was gone. He refused to let her, and she was gone. You know, she had it. You know, her mind was gone.
Wow.
And yep. So
Yeah, crazy. So high school came, and so you had a good mentor in high school as well. who really poured into you, and then life kind of got crazy. So
Yeah.
wanted to share that.
Yeah, so in high school for me, like I again back to the sports thing,
Yeah.
like I feel like I was defined by sports, because I was always like I was I was pretty good at what I did, and that kind of looking back, I'm like, man, it's after high school was over. I'm like, okay, how am I? I was defined by now. I don't have sports where, and it was rough for me. But yeah, in high school, so I would go into campus life was a big part of. And it's like a program like that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say when I started going to that, I went for the right reasons, right? Like I was like campus life. My friends are going, but hey, I was getting there, right? And that's where like I see kids now. I'm like, hey, as long as they're getting there, if they're getting there, they're gonna, there's gonna be some seeds planted, and that's kind of how it went with me. I think I started going, and then Kent Yost, I think who you're speaking of, he really he reached out to me and wanted to know if I wanted to meet with him and talk about God and just talk about life, once a week, and I started meeting with Kent. And that's around the time that I asked Jesus into my heart, and even doing that, and Kent talking to me about prayer and learning how to pray and everything. I had struggles after that. It wasn't for me. It wasn't just like boom. We all, we all have struggles, right? But like I got into some drugs. I got into heavy drinking, and
Well, before you get there, can I ask you a quick
yeah, that went
perspective
quick.
question?
Yeah.
So, one of the things you talked about is sports defining you
Uh-huh.
throughout high school. So, from when you were in high school to where it is today, I mean, the landscape of how sports and kids has changed dramatically,
Oh, yeah.
right? From the standpoint of being defined by giving your life to. So you were here, and I'm assuming, I mean, again, I don't know when you went to high school, but travel and playing all the time probably wasn't as big then as
no.
it is
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, not at all.
And so can you talk about advantages, disadvantages? Because I think this is where, I mean, I see, like, I get it. Like, everybody's like, you have to play. And I mean, you're a coach now, so you understand this, like,
Right, and that as a coach now, and being able to reach these kids and knowing that where I was and how important that was to me. And I look back and I'm like, man, like I never had a coach talk to me about God. I never had a coach pray with me. I never, which I had great coaches and they're good guys, right? Like, but me experiencing that and then going from sports being everything and not really, being younger, not really knowing God, and then to get out of high school and be like, oh crap, what do I do now? Like, so to be able to have an impact on these kids right now that are putting so much into it and playing all the time, to be able to talk to them and be like, hey guys, listen, like this is awesome, great game, fun game, like I can see you love it, but it's not everything. There's so much more, and to be able to talk to them about God and to be able to pray with them a little bit, I just feel like I'm there right now, and that's where I'm supposed to be, and
because I think that's a hard concept right now. I mean, kids are playing
way too much.
I mean,
yeah, it's
all the time. And so that's neat, though, that I never really thought about that. Like the idea that I don't know that you're going to change that landscape, honestly. I mean, I think high school athletics have set kids up that if you don't play all the time, you're not going to play. Like, I think that whole concept, like I can remember when I was coaching high school football for Huntington, like we would have guys that it's time for kids to be, coming in to work out for football. And essentially at the time it was like, you're going to have to choose. You're either going to play basketball or you're going to play football because like if you get behind, you're not going to be in the starting five, you know, and if you don't play, and again, that might have changed, but I see kids today. I mean, there's a lot of all year round.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't do it, you don't compete anymore.
Yeah.
That pressure.
I think, I know the high school basketball coach pretty well, the new coach, and he's one that he's gonna let kids do. Like
Yeah.
if a kid's good enough to play basketball, he's gonna play basketball. It doesn't matter if he plays track,
Yeah.
if he plays football, if he rides bulls, you know.
Right.
I mean, like honestly, man, I mean there's there's a kid at the high school that ropes and
Right.
coach is like, hey, if he ropes, if he's good enough to play, he's good enough, So
But that
he's-
hasn't always been the case.
no,
You
right,
know, that's
right,
what I'm
right.
saying. It's-
Overall, you're exactly right.
Right. So it's neat
being
that
pushed.
kind of
It's
stuff. So
being-
if coaches, I guess what I was getting back to, like if coaches could take you're not going to change the whole landscape. Kids are going to play. They're going to play a lot. Like that's just the
Right,
way it is.
right,
I
yeah.
don't think you're going to switch families back to everybody's home at night eating around the dinner table. Like I think those days are
Right.
as much as we want them. I don't know that you're going to do it. But if coaches come in with purpose and start to be like, okay, well, we're going to go where you are then. And we're going to help you understand basketball's great. And let's learn to be good, but let's also learn that there's something else.
Yeah.
And that can carry through. I think that'd be a cool influence because I think that perspective, because I don't think we're going to shift the landscape.
Right,
I think
I
we're going
agree,
to have to
I
go
agree.
into the landscape.
right, right.
Because I don't think you're going to turn this ship ain't turning.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's going that way when it comes to kids, athletics. I think it's probably going to get worse.
Yeah.
And how much time kids worse. We just need to figure out how to get where they are, and that's neat from a coaching standpoint that you're doing those types of
Yeah.
things. Yeah. So
then
when sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, and then I get like I'm coaching 8th grade, and then it's cool because I get to see these kids in high school and still have interaction with them and talk to them and everything and see how things are going and some of them will still reach out and text me about different things and everything. So it's cool to have that, to just be able to and a lot I always feel like we were talking at life group last night and. One of the guys was talking about how he's so critical of himself, like he's all, and that's me too. Like I'm always like, man, I could I could be so much better. I could do this better and this better and this better, and which I know can be a detriment, if it's too bad. But, so yes, I know I could do more, but stepping back and looking at things like, okay, I being able to plant a seed or being able just to have a conversation or whatever is sometimes, bigger than what
You
it seems.
showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You showed up with a purpose. I guess that's the thing that's cool. Is we're going to give our best, but sometimes I feel like we get frozen in fear that, well, what if we can't do it good enough? What if I'm like, just get out there. The kids just need you. Yeah, I mean, they need you. They need a solid, because, again, I think that there are a lot of these kids just need a solid man in their life.
Absolutely.
And if they can get it once a week, and you can just be that solid man, and you can give them what they need, like, you're good. Like, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, build them up and equip them. I think it goes forever.
100%, man. Yeah.
Forever. So when you when you got out of high school, you didn't go on to play college or anything, so...
I did like a year. I went to IPFW.
Okay.
Flunked out of there. Went to Indiana. I was going to play basketball there, and then that didn't work out. And then I went to Indiana Tech, was going to play baseball.
Oh,
that
wow.
didn't work. I was a mess.
So
I was
both of them. So you were good at both.
I could, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have played at the college level had I had my heart in it and
Sure.
and the desire and wasn't into all the things I was into because it was a bad point in my life, man. I mean, it really. I struggled after high school a lot, and a lot going back to the sports thing. A lot of that was I was always the best. Okay, maybe not the very best, but I was always, and I was used to that. And then I get to college, and I'm like, hey, there's everybody here was where I was at, So that was tough. And
So when you're in this group, like I think this is like for me to think through. So you're in a group, you give your life to Christ, you're part of campus life, or you're a part of a group of people, right? So then when you started, when I say go south, I mean started to make some decisions that weren't the best, like a lot of us did. Did anybody be like, hey, maybe those aren't the best decisions? Because this is the thing I'm always trying to figure out. Like, a lot of us live this. This is my life. I grew up in church, but I mean, my freshman year of high school, I drank Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, and nobody said anything to me, which is so funny. Like, nobody ever was like, hey, that might be a bad idea, or yeah.
Who was giving it to you?
So my brother, Stanley, I got ripped
You're like
off.
15.
Yeah, no, like I got ripped off. My brother is 6'4", looks older. So we used to go to this place called the Cheese House, and he would go in there and he would buy us liquor, and
They never asked for ID or anything.
I wasn't
knows?
ever there, but
Okay.
he would buy it and bring it back, and
You'd party.
Yeah,
Drank
we
every-
had those friends when
yeah,
we
I
were
mean,
young.
you just find the right guy,
Somebody's
and
brother, you
so
know.
happened to be my brother, and he would go in, and we drank every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every single weekend. My freshman, sophomore, but anyway, it was like no one was really like, "Do you think this was a bad idea? Like, do you think?" I think about this. I get my Chevelle done. Just get it ready, 16th birthday, drive it to a place, party, get hammered. I don't even remember driving it home. Like, and I can't remember anybody saying, it's probably not a good idea for you to get in your vehicle and drive it home. So
But kids weren't going to be the one. Your friends weren't going to be the ones to tell you that.
No, but I can't believe
unfortunately,
your mom had no clue.
either my mom was very naive or she didn't want to.
The confrontation, she didn't want.
Yeah, I don't think she
Yeah,
really
me
wanted
too,
to
yeah.
deal
Did your
with-
mom know?
See, I think it's the same. I don't.
Yeah.
She had to.
have to.
Sometimes I'd come home and have conversations, and I'm like, how does she not? Like,
Well, I just like
or I'd go straight to my room or straight downstairs.
Well, and I
That
would
would
get
be a
so drunk
clear
that I would
indicator.
just throw up in my bed and I'd be laying in it the next day. And I would wake up and be like, Mom would be like, what happened? I had the flu. I don't know. I don't know. And I just know what that's like. She would have had to smell all the alcohol.
Yes.
I mean,
That's terrible.
used to puke in her flower beds when you get home at
gosh.
night. And
I knew you were a partier, but this is crazy stuff.
oh no, I just wondered if maybe she was like, I don't really want to know how bad my
Yeah,
son is.
yeah.
I just want to live with the dream of he's really not as bad as I think. I mean, I got better as it went on because it just got boring after
Yeah.
a while. I mean, you just can only drink so much. And,
So did you get bored after a while?
well, and Sherry came along,
Yes.
and because I started doing like Sherry's. I shouldn't even say these things. I shouldn't say who I got it from, but I got gifted this kit. It was like a crushed velvet, had the mask in it. So when you smoke pot, like you put on the gas mask, and I mean the whole thing. But when Sherry started figuring out the drug part of it, she's like, "You need to choose.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna
Yeah.
start doing drugs,
I'm
out."
done,
And I'm
yeah.
like, "All right, I'm done."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and then it just got to the point where I'm tired of being sick.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It took a case of beer to get drunk. It's
Yeah.
too expensive. So as I got older, I just like, there's other things to do.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. By the grace of God, I got into some serious. I mean, I
Did
wasn't
ya?
just smoking pot. I was doing some stupid stuff.
Okay. How did you transition into that? Like that's what I always wondered. Back in the day, there was
man.
none of that there.
What do you
Like
mean?
nobody offered me coke. Nobody offered me hair. Like that was not in our scene. Like
But it was in ours.
Was it?
Yeah, it
Wow.
was around like that.
That's what I
And
meant,
I was,
yeah.
I mean, and it had to do who I was hanging with. It's like, but yes, I got into that, and there was a couple times that I remember like I shouldn't be here. I should have died. I should have overdosed. And I was, and I remember, and I would pray, just to. I just remember praying a lot, and I to this day I can't look back and be like, that's how I quit. That's how I got away from it. It was by the grace of God.
Really?
I stopped doing it, and I never did it again. I'm talking about coke.
Yeah,
and
no,
smoke. Well,
yeah,
was
right.
It was, and it's like, sorry, Mom. I was so low, man. I was at such a low point, and so even before I met Tabby, I came out of that. And that was just through prayer. I mean, there was nobody. It was just through prayer. And I think I told you I would pray a lot to meet a good woman, and Tabby came along and
So were you in college at this time? Like, what was going
no,
on?
man.
around-
So I went to 2 years. I went to
Yep.
college, flunked out of both.
Yep.
So I would have been, I don't know, 20, 21, probably 22. And then yes. So basically, when I was into all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yes, that was during college. I
Yeah.
guess.
And I think it's interesting because I've heard this a lot. So even in your lowest times where God wasn't important, you still were crying out to God.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's a,
Oh my god! And I would like, and that's where I've learned today to I go to him in thanks so
Yeah.
much more, and I didn't then, but he was still there.
Yeah.
Like it was at the lows, man. I'd get to a low to where I was on the brink of dying, and he was there,
wow.
and here I am,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's been like I said. I mean, my story's it's not just like boom, this happened and things changed, and
Yeah.
it's been a slow, steady walk. But I feel like every day I'm moving forward.
So as you're praying for the good woman, how did she show up? You know what I mean? Like, how does
know.
it happen? that-
I actually met her through. I was on a softball team, and she would come. She was
Oh,
friends.
really?
She was friends with some guys that played on the softball team, and
Did
but
you guys date for a while?
not really, man. I mean, a year maybe.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So then once you guys get together, I mean, we know where you are in your faith journey. It's coming back, right? So you were away. I mean, Kent Yost, get you along, get you a foundation, kind of walk away from it. Now you're working your way back. So is this at this point, is Tabby challenging you? Like, if I'm going to marry you, like, get your, or is it this time, is it just kind of like, hey, you know what? We're both kind of on this parallel journey, moving forward.
Not really, man. I mean, at the time, she had been going to the witness hall.
Oh,
Jehovah-
really?
Yes. So
Wow.
that's when So that adds a bit. So
I'm gonna get Tabby on here.
yeah, and if you're
Wow.
and if she's gonna dude, she's gonna kill me for all this, but
She said.
but no, I'm just so at the time.
Now, wait a second.
And-
How'd she end up there? She grew up in that, or?
No, she went through some stuff and one of her
Okay.
friends, and yeah. So, but
Wow.
but I was when we started becoming close. So if you're a witness, you can't.
No,
date
I know,
outside, right? And
right.
I'm like, no, not me.
Right.
Like this is gonna. So basically, it was, it just was basically like it wasn't gonna happen. We weren't gonna stay together if she remained there, and then they pretty much said that they're not going to talk to her anymore. I don't know. It's weird,
Wow.
but yeah. So, but then we ended up both going to church, and things are good.
So
now.
how much? Again, I guess you don't have to answer this because maybe you don't know, but I mean, how much untangling of faith because of what she learned at? Because only what I know. Like, I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I've studied a
I'm-
decent amount, but I mean, there's it's for sure not lining up with what scriptures
No,
teach.
right, correct.
I mean, it's a very skewed view of what scripture says. So was there a time of kind of untangling that, or how did you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we would talk. We would have conversations and stuff, but it wasn't like I feel like I was never really. I never studied it or knew
Yeah.
what it was about,
Right.
or so I really didn't understand
Sure.
maybe as much as what you do about it. But we would just it was more the bigger things for me where I'm like, how can they just like not talk to somebody and
Right.
not like so it was just kind of those things that were kind of but yeah. No.
So when you guys got married, you started going to church together, and is that? I mean, did it just kind of take off? I mean, kind of walk me through.
Yeah, I don't think we started after we had Ella, she was probably, so we probably didn't go to church I bet we didn't go to church for a year or two. constantly.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, when we started going, it just, you know, we got in with a Sunday school class, and it was basically, I mean, it was me starting my. I mean, I had not went to church at all, so I mean, I'm just, you know, that 24, 25 years old, and just kind of learning all the stories that I
Sure.
was, you know,
Yeah.
supposed to already know. So.
Yeah. So in that journey, as you guys are going together, so as you're growing in your faith, she's growing in her faith. So talk a little bit about, because I think there's always a lot of couples that are like, give me some marriage advice, you know, through this whole process of like, because you were even talking about it, maybe it's in the beginning, I don't know, like where she fits, where you fit. So if there anything in those early years that you can say like, this was really important part of our marriage that kind of gave us the foundation to where we are today, whether it's spiritually or just relationally. Because we've all had our rough spots, you know, everybody's went through. Anybody that's been married for a while has always had, you know, but what do we learn from it? Or maybe what did you guys,
I guess I don't understand what you're like.
just in general? So this is outside of just a faith question. So if you could point to one thing that you guys did in the first 10 years of your marriage that really helped, you know, grow in your love for each other or grow in your journey with each other, it's just kind of an off-subject question on
Yeah, I
giving
mean,
to our
I
audience.
think a lot of it, honestly, was because we had Ella pretty quick after we got married, and I think being parents together, I think that was something that we both kind of, I mean, that was very important to us, you
Yeah.
know, raising our kids. So that was a lot of our connection, I feel like, and
Yeah.
I feel like we grew in that together, and yeah, and then you know. Going to church and finding out that, hey, you know, my wife's supposed to be, you know, it's God, my wife, and then my kids, which was, you know, that was a
Yeah.
tough one for me to, or
Right.
for both of us, you know,
Yeah,
to
for
be like,
sure.
oh, you know, because you want to put your kids first so often. It's like learning that she came first was, you know, and we stick to that today, you know, and we'll talk about it in front of our kids, you know, we'll let they know that, hey, we're
Right.
each other's number two, and, you know, and the kids come next. So yeah.
Yeah, so in your own spiritual journey, is there anything that, so from where you were, which I think is pretty cool, so the place of like, didn't really grow up in it, but kind of knew it, you know, was introduced to Christ, kind of walked away from it, to where you are today as a coach, living on purpose, doing the best you can to not only show love to your family and your kids, but to also somebody else's kids, because it's a time commitment. I mean, it is I mean, even if you love the sport, coaching the sport is a huge time commitment to do that.
It is, but you preached maybe a month ago, and you talked about how much time we really have and what we do with our time.
Yeah.
Mike, in the winter, I'm not working, right? Like
Yeah.
so it is a time
So it fits
commitment,
really good
but
then.
doggone it, I need like I've got that time,
Yeah.
right? So even hearing you talk about that, I'm like, man, am I spending enough time? You know, because I've got all this time in the winter. Not that I'm not doing anything, because
No,
I mean,
for sure.
I've got projects and things, and
Right.
but yeah, it is a commitment, but it's but I enjoy it, and again, that's where, you know, like I know that's where I'm supposed to be right now.
Right. So if you could pick anything from early on in your walk to where you are now, and you could say to somebody out there that's trying to grow in their faith, like what would be some important aspects, like personal devotions, people, mentors, church, like small group, like could you point to good wife, you know, any of those things that you could point to? You could say, these are some real things that have helped me grow in my spiritual journey that maybe people from our audience could learn from.
Yeah, I just think the young people need mentors, man. I think they need, like, because again, I go back to when I was young. Like I wish that I had somebody that I didn't. You know, I didn't have anybody there talking to me about God. So I think it's on us more so for those young people to be able to reach those young people. You know, and for them just to surround themselves with with the right people, with Christians, and with good, like just be careful. There's so many different kids in high school now. I mean, there's so many different paths they can go, and there's so many, just choosing to be around the right people, I think is a big deal for those young kids.
Right. So pick a mentor and be a mentor.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, that's a,
Yeah.
yeah, because I think that's challenging, first of all, because even people who want to mentor, sometimes it's hard to find them, and that's why I love when in sports, like if kids can look up to their coach, for more than just a skill set, that's what I think. I think that just goes a long way. Like I still see kids today that I coached in football, and it's been years, and they still are like, "Hey, coach,"
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
awesome.
"Hey,
Yeah,
coach,"
yeah.
and will still text you, ask you for advice, be a part of their weddings. I mean, how neat is that?
It
that,
is.
that you
It's-
get to
yeah.
have that chance to, because that's what you are, more than just a coach. If you're a mentor, in their life, So, any other? Because we're getting to the end, so. Can you believe that?
Crazy.
Can you give any, like, if you're going to give any words of wisdom to guys out there growing their faith, trying to get it figured out, trying to figure out how to make an impact, how to do things, like any advice that you would give guys or young men out there today? Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. I just, I think, getting into the Word, reading the Bible, getting out, going to church. I just think that those, are important things for kids to do, and go to Him at all times for anything, man, like the
Right.
good times and the bad. I mean, get on your knees and pray. Like those are the things that, that we can do anytime, any day, anywhere.
Right. And try to figure out, I mean, if you said this earlier, try to figure out opportunities to get involved in the lives of kids. Right.
For
Try
sure,
to figure
yeah.
out whatever those things are. So if you're not a coach, you could be a lot of other things, because not every kid plays sports. There's
Right.
multiple levels of opportunities for people to be able to get involved and, try to be a part of mentoring them, along in their relationship. And so you guys go to second service?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're watching or listening and you see, Rick out there, make sure that you come up and say hi during the second service. Again, I've been able to hear your journey a little bit through Taylor, the coaching and the things that you guys, have done through that. The Sunday where there were kids here.
Oh yeah. man.
Which
We
I
had our
looked out
we
there
had our
and-
whole team come.
Yeah, and I'm like, those are the types of
awesome.
things that are just fascinating to
Yeah.
me, and that you guys are going down those roads and doing those, types of things. So just super excited about what you're doing, the opportunities that you have, and the influence that you're making. So, we'll continue to pray that God keeps using you, and keeps growing opportunities to be able to invest in the lives of young people. And again, if you see it, make sure you come up and say hi. When this comes out, make sure you like, share, or comment. That way we can get this podcast out on other people's feed, and make sure you come up and say hi.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, absolutely.
And this has been on my mind a lot lately. I was baptized as a baby, but I've never been baptized. I've never professed my faith by being baptized. I believe I know I'm saved,
Sure.
but I would like to be baptized on the next baptism.
Wow, look at that. Announcement
been-
on the podcast.
Hey man,
Look at that.
it's been on my heart and on my mind for a while now.
That
man.
is a
Like,
podcast first.
So yeah,
Yeah,
man,
that we have
We
somebody.
will sign you up before we
Yeah,
walk out the
yeah.
door tonight.
I'm excited. about
That's so
that, man.
awesome. Yeah, I love that we're
Yeah.
able to share in that with you. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
good. All right, so thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.